Good morning everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Bon matin. L'année 2020 aurait été l'une des plus difficiles de notre récente histoire. L'impact sur nos travailleurs essentiels, notre système de santé et d'éducation, sur nos entreprises, nos organismes et nos résidents a été sans précédent. No one has been untouched by the virus, and the last 10 months have been really tough. There are many in our community who are suffering, but we are all struggling. We are fed up, we're frustrated, we're worried. It is a heavy load for everyone, and we are all adapting and coping in our own ways. But we have a resilient and caring community, and as your mayor, I've been so inspired and impressed by the people who have stepped up to buy local, to invest in our community, to lend a helping hand, to feed our kids. Thank you. But you know what? Despite some really huge challenges this last year, as a city, we did pretty well by a number of different measures. Malgré tout, nous avons de belles histoires à partager. One measure that cities use and that are hugely important indicators for us are building permits. You may ask, why does this matter? Well, basically because residential tax revenue represents 90% of all of the revenues that we use to run our city. If we don't have growth in building permits, we can't deliver the services that everyone needs in our community. We cannot help those most at risk and invest more than $1.4 million in social inclusion, for example. In 2020, we broke all records for building permits with more than $270 million in building permits. Local developers really stepped up and put their money where their mouths were, and despite the many unknowns, took big steps forward. But our growth wasn't just residential in 2020. Moncton Industrial Development, which represents our 4 industrial parks, had a record-breaking year, almost double last year's growth, which also was record-breaking. These numbers are unheard of during normal times. So during a pandemic, it just makes them that much more incredible and is a real testament to our unique and special community. La croissance de nos parcs industriels est une preuve de la confiance des entrepreneurs et des investisseurs envers notre ville. So everyone has heard the stories of how hot our real estate market is, the stories of people from across the country and around the world who are snapping up homes sight unseen. Seasoned agents tell me that they have never seen anything like this. As so many humans realize that they can literally work from anywhere, why wouldn't they want to work from Moncton? Here, an average home sells for $270,000, while in Toronto, it's $824,000. And here, your kids can walk to school, ride their bikes, and play safely in a beautiful neighborhood park. And while immigration has slowed down a bit, I'm sure that our community will continue to attract people from around the world. Avec nos partenaires, nous allons améliorer les services et les ressources permettant ainsi aux nouveaux arrivants de bien s'installer dans leur nouvelle communauté. However, we have also seen the COVID cracks. The social inequity in our community is clearly evident right now. Rents are rising and our most vulnerable are very visible in our somewhat unoccupied downtown since so many people continue to work from home. Affordable housing is a big issue in our community. But this year, Moncton City Council stepped up in a significant way to do our part with a $6 million investment in Rising Tides, matched by another $6 million from the province and hopefully supported by the federal government too. A housing authority that over the next 3 years will create 125 housing units and provide the necessary wraparound services to effect positive change. Will this solve homelessness? No. But it is a step in the right direction, and I know that many engaged Monctonians are committed to making this work. Le dossier des sans-abri est très complexe et ne peut être résolu rapidement. Je suis fière de notre conseil municipal qui a démontré son leadership en investissant temps et argent dans un domaine qui, en fait, ne nous appartient pas. So, We've all adapted, we've pivoted, we've found creative solutions, we've done things we couldn't possibly have imagined doing just 10 months ago. From a financial perspective, the city immediately took the necessary measures to make some cuts, waive some fees, rethink our budgets, all while remaining dedicated to not increasing taxes or decreasing services. It was a bit of a balancing act, in fact it still is. But all in all, I think we did a fairly good job of doing this in the most equitable manner possible. We also didn't stop the wheels of democracy, and I'm particularly proud of our council, who didn't miss a beat with public sessions, public hearings, and everything in between going virtual or in a hybrid form. This last year has shone the light on many challenges and has permitted some meaningful conversations to take place. Conversations that were long overdue, but that had never really reached the surface in such a profound way before. When we think of building back better, what does that mean? What is a vision we have for what could be in our city? What kind of city do we want to live in? How do we take the necessary action that we now know is possible? Ces derniers mois nous ont permis d'imaginer notre futur collectif, de revoir notre façon de faire et d'en ressortir encore plus fort. Cracks have definitely been exposed in our community, there is no question, and have made many of us sit up and pay attention to the increasing disparity. Is this an opportunity to get to functional zero homelessness? And this is defined as less than 3 people without housing at one time within 10 days. What needs to happen to get here? A critical piece of the puzzle is a social impact audit, and we entered into this process in the fall with the results coming very soon. This process is following the money to see what the total investment is in social inclusion, health, justice, nonprofits, food, security, policing, housing, so that we can ensure that the greatest return on investment is being achieved. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, typically, when cities do this, they identify at least 20% of the investment that can immediately be redirected. We need to get past Band-Aids and find long-term sustainable solutions. We need to get to the heart of the matter, and we will. 2020 has taught us that anything is possible. So what a great time to think deeply and seriously about safety and security in our city and the important role that our police play. In particular, how can we rethink how they respond to mental health and addictions concerns? There have definitely been some interesting conversations around the broader role of policing in our community and what we are asking of officers. It may be time to break down some of the silos of government agencies to find new ways to work collaboratively and address the growing addictions and mental health challenges in our community together. Les défis liés à la santé mentale et aux dépendances se font sentir partout au pays. Toutes les parties prenantes doivent travailler ensemble pour trouver des solutions durables. Early on in all of this, the role of our parks, trails, and public spaces took on enormous importance. We have gorgeous facilities with 3,500 acres of parkland, 78 kilometers of trails, 4 regional parks, 50 sports fields, 55 playgrounds, outdoor rinks, tennis courts, bike parks, and we are always enhancing and upgrading our infrastructure. Centennial Beach and the North End YMCA both opened this past year. This coming year, we will be working on a new comprehensive active transportation plan and a new recreation master plan. Obviously, we are all embracing the great outdoors. Have you tried to buy a bike, snowshoes, or skis lately? J'ai entendu tellement d'histoires de résidents qui ont découvert récemment pour la première fois les parcs, les sentiers et espaces verts. Remember when this all started and no one was going anywhere and we were all seeing the wildlife in our yards and hearing the reports from other countries about how clean and clear their air suddenly was? This too was a wake-up call from an environmental perspective, that change was possible. So how do we get to zero net? Well, we are actively working on reducing our greenhouse gas emissions as a city, preparing for the impacts of climate change, increasing access to sustainable energy, and tracking our progress. Of course, a huge win in our community this last year was the upgrade to Transaqua and the much cleaner effluent we will be pumping back into our river. COVID-19 has taught us that we can do better, that change is possible. It has taught us the vital importance of protecting our natural environment and, of course, ensuring that we are all working together, leaving our planet in better shape than we found it. So many of us have spent a lot of time in our homes and neighborhoods these last few months, and for the most part, it's been a pretty great place to go through a pandemic. But it has got us all thinking about what kind of neighborhoods we want to live in. Walkable, livable, with amenities close by. Urban planning has never been more important, particularly when, as a city, we continue to fill in within our serviceable boundary. So watch for some interesting new infill developments and also strategic decisions around our important heritage properties. During this time when people can literally work from anywhere, the quality of neighborhoods becomes increasingly important. Of course, cities don't work alone. We work very closely with our provincial and federal colleagues. That being said, I'm personally really excited about our provincial government's commitment to municipal government reform. This is long overdue, and the relationship that we have with the two other levels of government needs to be reimagined. The status quo is simply not sustainable. We need to have a good, hard look at tax fairness. We need total clarity on overlapping jurisdictions and unclear cost sharing. We need more collaboration. And if this can be done anywhere, New Brunswick is the place. We have a real opportunity to be national leaders on this. Les prochains mois sont critiques pour l'ensemble de l'humanité, bien qu'on ne connaisse pas encore ce que réserve 2021. Le vaccin est en route et nous sommes optimistes. Humans like to gather, and we will get back to it. Having events like this in person, we'll be back to supporting our local artists at the Capitol Theatre, our favorite restaurants and watering holes, and our borders will open and will welcome the world back in. So many in our community have really taken it on the chin for the common good. The constant changes in rules, the cleaning, the pivoting, the sleepless nights, the worry, the fear, the uncertainty. Thank you. I know that things will get better. We have an incredible community that has proven time and time again that we can surmount challenges and come out stronger and more resilient than before. And like always in Moncton, we will do it together. We've seen the resilience, the flexibility, the creativity by so many business leaders. Check out Danielle Gauvin at the Wellness Exchange, located in the beautiful new Tannery Place. Elke Ambeau and his team at Copan, who immediately pivoted and went online like so many others. The brave Sandy family, who, along with opening the delicious restaurant India King, they've opened Grand King Indian grocery store right across the street. And of course, they are Jean and Susan Cormier of Euston Park, Clos, and Halo fame. Oh, those donuts. Additionally, there are the examples like Jessam Tools, who have moved their entire woodworking tools and accessories manufacturing plant to Moncton from Orillia, Ontario. We are the 7th fastest growing census metropolitan area in Canada, with 10,000 new people moving here in the last 4 years, and so many more on their way, bringing their ingenuity, their investment dollars, filling jobs that we cannot fill. But I would like to end today with the story of the Moncton Magnet. Some of you may know Derek Smith. He played football at both Harrison Trimble and at Acadia, and he also cut a lot of lawns and painted a lot of houses in the North End as a student. He then went on to 15 years of investment banking and private equity work in Canada and the UK. He has recently worked in global capital markets, completing transactions and investments on 6 continents with a total deal value of over $25 billion in energy, infrastructure, industrials, and real estate. And guess what? He and his partner are coming home to be closer to family and friends, to live those maritime moments, to live for the maritime moment. He's also really excited to explore our growing food scene, the downtown transformation, and the expanded amenities and developments happening in Moncton. He wants to be a part of our community. His plan is to acquire and establish business from a transitioning owner and to grow it. And Derek is just one example. We have so many people interested in coming home and in finding home here. La dernière année a été riche en émotions et je suis convaincue que ces expériences nous permettront de réaliser de grandes choses. I have no doubt that our community will embrace the opportunities that will allow us all to grow and prosper. Thanks to all of you. We have a lot going for us when you consider our place in the world, and we have the very best people. Thank you for being here today, and thank you to the Chamber of Commerce. Merci.